Class is back in session for Oklahoma City Public School students. The Oklahoman's Carrie Coppernall recently sat down for a Q&A with Superintendent Karl Springer. You, readers of the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com, had submitted questions for this interview. The following are Mr. Springer's answers to some of those submitted questions.
I think that the issue there with alternative schools, there are a couple of camps on that. One would be that any child that's got some kind of behavioral problem that doesn't perform in the classroom in our traditional setting, that we would come up with some sort of building with concertina wire around it, and we're not into that. What we've got to be able to do is we've got to be able to take our alternative education program and not let it become a parallel education program to what we're doing. We've already seen what happens when you do that in special education. Expectation for the children needs to be high. The expectations for performance and for what they're capable of doing need to remain high. What we've got to be able to do is have our alternative education program be something that is easy to access and fluid, so that they can get in and out of the alternative education program quickly. We've been working with the Metro Tech, Career Tech. They have a good alternative education program. Emerson's kind of got the umbrella over most of our alternative education programs. Some of our alternative education programs, the county jail. You know, we're talking about a very different group of children in Oklahoma City. I think many children that are in hospital settings for emotional issues we provide alternative education programs for. Because we're an urban school district and we're right in the center of the state, we have a large number of children that fall into those categories. What we've got to be able to do is not write them off. Not say, well, this kid can go to school anywhere but here. We've got to own these children. We've got to respect them, and we've got to look at the potential that they've got. I was a teacher for 14 years. I know what it's like to have disrupted children in the classroom, and I know that does degrade the classroom setting. You've got to be able to come up with strategies as a school, as a teacher, as a district, to be able to intervene and do it in a way that makes sense and honors the future of the child. I think there are good schools that are big schools and good schools that are little. Edgemere is a good example of what happens when a community wraps their arms around a little school. Over the last couple of years, we've seen dramatic improvement in Edgemere. We have large elementary schools that have wonderful facilities and have that same kind of attitude. Chavez Elementary School kind of falls into that category in the south side of our school district. I think that really the issue isn't so much the size of the school. The issue is what's happening inside of each one of those classrooms and what happens with the community. How does the community support the school? How are the parents and the community collaborating to make that a good place? You know, the bigger question there that everybody wants to talk about a lot of times is, what about school consolidation? You know, well, this is the largest school district in the state of Oklahoma, and we have our share of problems. So if you wanted to consolidate all the schools in the state with 650,000 kids in the state, you know, you could probably do it with, less than 20 school districts. The issue is what happens inside the classroom. The most important thing about a school is the teacher that's standing in front of that class, and teachers are what make schools good. So there's a resource issue sometimes when you get a smaller school, you know, less art, music, and PE teachers there, but we try to make sure that the kids get the same amount of time with those teachers. But really, I think it comes down to who's the teacher in front of that classroom, and that is what makes the biggest difference. Those are all things that we know are important. I think the longer school day, it took us about 100 years to go from 6 hours to 6 hours and 20 minutes. That's one thing that's happened just recently. That's been a good thing. The continuous learning calendar, trying to make it possible to have time during the school year to be able to remediate children on a one-to-one or a smaller kind of setting. The other parts of this thing that I think really are important there have to do with just really looking at what is the best return on investment, and make sure that that investment is in the children and not in some program just for the sake of a program. I think that there will be significant change to that this year. We've employed a new executive director of personnel who's pushing very hard to get those things done. Our new teachers, we're issuing the laptop computers to the new teachers as we speak before school starts. I think those issues of getting going at the beginning of the year are going to be remediated to a great extent this year. But we're going to be looking at it and seeing what areas we need to improve on. Do a little after-action report about 2 weeks after school starts. But my anticipation is that every teacher will have their laptop and be able to use the technology on the first day of school. Well, and I'm really not talking for Oklahoma City schools when I say this, because I think that there are a variety of opinions. But my personal opinion is that to really do this right, we need to have at least a 7-hour instructional day. Now, there are a lot of places that don't need a 7-hour instructional day, across the state probably. But I think if we're really focusing in on Oklahoma City public schools, that would help. We would be able to have more time for art, physical education, PE, some time for children to be able to really work on activities that would be enriching. So I think that would be one thing that the legislature could do. I think that the aspect of deregulation is important. I think if we could cause principals to have more autonomy about what they do in their school, less regulation, those are some things maybe we could do that would really help. My attitude about school always has been that I live by this idea of life. You've got a 2-minute warning. So what are we going to do right now to make it better? Those are the things I would suggest. The expectations for what they can do. I think that we've got to be able to reprogram our children to be able to have them have expectations beyond their wildest dreams about what it's possible for them to do. So many times we see kids that just they lose their hope for the future because they look around them and they see issues of poverty. And I just think it's very important that we do whatever we can do to cause our kids to be able to have escalating expectations for their future. And then all the rest of the people in this community, need to have that same attitude.